Hi everyone, my name is Terry Westwell and today is Tuesday, which means it's time to discuss our book of the week, which is Metal Slinger by Rachel Schneider. So first, this is a spoiler-free section. If you haven't read this book yet, don't worry about it, it won't be spoiled for you here. There will be some spoiler-related things that I want to discuss, but that'll be later on in the video, and you will get plenty of warning. If you'd like to join in on any of the book discussions, send me your thoughts, comments, or even a short video clip of you discussing the book, then I'll list the next upcoming 4 books in the description below. So some of you may know that we're actually supposed to read this book quite a while ago, but because the book was being republished, we had to actually postpone it, and I think it's safe to say that I went into this really hoping that it was going to be worth the hassle and the really frustrating wait. And for the most part, I was thoroughly enjoying it. It was a nice, easy read with a really interesting world and magic system. I was also really enjoying the romance part of things, but never has a book gone so quickly from a 5-star read to a 4-star read. Which kind of pains me a little bit to say, because even now, I can still say that I really enjoyed this book, but I just really didn't like that ending. I mean, I had so many problems with it, I had so many issues with it, and I'm genuinely a little bit angry at it. So yeah, I ended up rating it 4 stars, but before the last couple of chapters, it was well on its way to being a 5-star read. It was absolutely my kind of romantasy. It was slow burn, enemies to lovers vibe. It was really nice and easy to read while still being packed with adventure, politics, and this whole new world. Bryn has spent her whole life training to be a guard and waiting for the chance to attend the annual market hosted by the Kenta, the people who exiled her own community to a life at sea. Going to the market is a rite of passage eagerly awaited by the young guards, but Bryn doesn't anticipate breaking a century-long peace treaty while she's there. Nor does she plan for the intense encounter with the enemy soldier who threatens to unravel everything she once believed about herself to be true. Bryn's loyalty will be tested when the truth of who she is brought to light by the soldier who has taken an oath to bring her back to where she belongs. She was once certain of her fate and where she belonged, but the dark knowing eyes of this stranger has her questioning everything, including her heart. If I had to compare this to any other book, I would probably say that it's a similar sort of vibe romantasy to something like Heavenly Bodies or Quicksilver, although I'd say that Quicksilver is probably a little bit spicier. But it's similar in the enemies to lovers, the politics, and the adventure element, things that I love about these sort of books, and it is what I really enjoyed about this one. The chapter lengths were fine, and although the pacing was a little bit on the slow side, there was so much going on and so many twists and turns that, to be honest, I barely even noticed. Like, it definitely relied a lot on the shock factor to keep readers engaged, and I didn't really mind up until the end. I think every twist and turn made complete sense, and it just brought those two characters closer together. There was never a dull moment for them. I read this book in just a couple of days. I was completely hooked and I didn't want to put the book down. While they did annoy me at times, I loved the dynamic between Bryn and the love interest, and as you get further and further into the story, you're introduced to more and more interesting side characters. And of course, with that comes cool new powers and creatures and elements that these people will need to face. And despite so much going on, I think it would probably be a good book for someone who hasn't read many romantasies before, because it was still nice and easy to read, and like Quicksilver and Heavenly Bodies and maybe even Fourth Wing, it kicks off pretty quickly. Within the first couple of chapters, it's able to throw you into the story and the characters immediately. So as for the question, would I recommend the book? I think for the first time ever, I genuinely don't know. I think the ending annoyed me that much that I don't feel like I can answer that question until I have more answers. I've read books with all sorts of endings, the expected, the unexpected, happy, sad, and the all-frustrating cliffhanger, but personally I just struggled to make sense of this one. It didn't sit right. Like, it didn't seem very well planned or thought out, so without knowing more, I'm not sure. So will I be reading any more by Rachel Schneider? I absolutely would read the book or series by this author. In fact, I think I might read the next book in this series, mostly just to see if we do get some more answers and it fixes the mess of an ending that was. Hopefully then I can determine exactly how I feel about it and whether or not I would recommend it. So earlier on in the video, I said that you would get plenty of warning for any upcoming spoilers. This is that moment, so if you haven't read this book yet, I would suggest going doing that first, because beyond this point, there'll definitely be spoilers. So quite far into the book, the love interest Akka has a brief moment where he suspects Bryn and actually accuses her of working with the enemy, for like no reason at all. They discover this new power or whatever it is that granted would give her the ability to spy, however, he was there and witnessed it when she got onto land and got her powers for the first time. And it almost killed her. Like, it wasn't something she was able to fake, so I just don't feel like there was a real reason for him to suddenly start doubting her. And then the ending happened and it just pissed me off because there was no real foreshadowing for it. The only moment I can think of is that brief moment of accusation, which if that's what that was meant to be, then it just feels lazy. It's almost like the writer decided on the ending last second and then realised, they should probably drop some hints in here and there, but then it still didn't make any sense. What pisses me off more is that this book was in first person from Bryn's perspective. Like, I guess you could argue that Bryn knew about mind readers, so she learnt to lock down her plans so that we, even as readers, wouldn't be able to figure out what was happening. But even that feels like a really weak and shitty argument. But to read a book from first person's perspective and then be that unreliable without showing any signs just didn't sit right. Like, I get that there were chapters that we weren't witness to, but it just felt lazy and like an afterthought. Like, from the very beginning, I knew that Kai wasn't the love interest, because even when people weren't around, even when Akka wasn't around, she still felt a little standoffish with him. Walking away from his proposal right at the beginning might have been part of the plan, it might have been all for sure, but what about after that? Like, what about her internal monologue? How could that not give anything away? It ended up just feeling like the author reached a certain point in the book and didn't really know what to do with it anymore, so they did this big twist ending purely for the sake of a shock factor. And it was absolutely shocking, because it had zero foreshadowing and it made no sense. Seriously, I don't remember the last time I was that disappointed in a book, which is a real shame because before that point I was about to rate it 5 stars. Like, the only reason it got as high as 4 stars is because I was really enjoying it up until that point, and the only reason I'll be reading the next book is because I will be hoping that they'll fix the ending or be able to explain itself. Like, I do think that the main character did love Akka, and I love a fated mates kind of trope, but Bryn is kind of damaged. But I guess being kidnapped as a child will do that to you. I mean, I don't know. I was fine with all the other twists, and there were a lot of them. I just don't think I can get over that ending. But let me know what you thought. Did you enjoy the book? Next week we're discussing The Crash by Freida McFadden, so don't forget to get your thoughts and comments in by Sunday the 25th of May at the latest to be a part of the discussion. You can now do this on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram or Discord. The following week will be Great Big Beautiful Life, but don't forget, if you do need a little bit longer to read a book, we do now list the next 4 books down below along with the discussion dates. That way you can choose the genre that best suits you and the best time frame to read it in. Thank you all for joining, and if you like this video, please don't forget to like and subscribe, it's always appreciated, and I will see you next week. Bye! If you like romance, fantasy, or even thriller, basically anything fiction book related, then I suggest you head on over to the channel's intro video, where you can find out more information on how you can take part in this online book club. We announce books at least 4 weeks in advance, and we accept your bookish feedback in a wide manner of ways. Post your comment below a video, send in a voice note, or even send me a short video clip of you discussing the book. Alternatively, you can just send me a direct message.